Evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the monthly Town of Milton Board meeting. Today is August 28th, 2024. The time is 6:30. I'd like to get the meeting started with a pledge of allegiance by Councilwoman Kerr.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Delnicki.
Present.
Councilwoman Soden. Councilman Froelich.
Present.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Present.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Present. First on the agenda, motion to accept the minutes from the July 24th, 2024 Town Board meeting.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Delnicki.
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. First on the agenda tonight is going to be a deceased veteran ceremony honoring Emily Josephine Adams. I had the privilege last week of presenting at the county board meeting proclamation in reference to Emily's career, along with Senator Tedesco, Assemblywoman Walsh. It was a very grateful, well-represented meeting. Mary Beth Walsh wanted to condemn the town of Milton. And Mike, I want to thank you for putting everything together, for having a woman. Everybody was taken back by her accomplishments, and it was a very touching ceremony. So to get this started, I'm just going to read the proclamation that I presented to the County Board of Supervisors meeting for Emily. Proclamation, Emily J. Adams, a life of service. This year, the town of Milton has the great distinction of recognizing the military service of Korean War veteran Emily Josephine Adams, who was a resident of the town of Milton for 31 years, where she and her husband Harry J. Adams raised 3 children, Valerie, Nicholas, and Doug. Emily's life was once dedicated to service. After graduating from high school, Emily enlisted in the U.S. Navy during the Korean War. While in service to her country, Emily attended the rank of Petty Officer 3rd Class and worked as an air traffic controller assigned to the Naval Air Base in Hutchinson, Kansas. Following her honorable discharge from the military service on March the 29th, 1954, Emily then decided to dedicate her life to the service of her community. Following the completion of her college education, where she studied music and education, Emily became an English teacher in the Ballston Middle School for over 20 years. From 1978 to 1998, Emily would educate thousands of students in her community. She also was active in her religious community by teaching music in the St. Mary's Catholic Church in Ballston Spa. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight just to recognize Emily. She was a Petty 3rd Class Officer, Emily J. Adams. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our historian, Mike Companion.
Good evening, everybody. It was my privilege to act this year to, as Supervisor Ostrander said, to recognize a woman for her service. We have a wall full of men in here. And when I was actually making copies one day, I went in there, I said, there's no ladies. So we went on a search, and I was telling Doug, by the way, this is Doug, Lauren Adams, Ashley, and Paul Poland. And Ashley is granddaughter for Emily. And I basically called them and said, hey, would it be okay if I honored your mother as the deceased veteran of for this year? And they said, that'd be great. It was totally unexpected, I believe, because she's been deceased for 24 years. But she was a resident here for 33 years. She greatly contributed to our community as a teacher. And being a retired teacher myself, I understand what she went through, okay, and all the people she touched over the course of her career. But I'm pleased that I'd like to actually ask Senator Tedesco to come up and present his award. You want to see if you were a Super Bowl, Senator?
Kind of question is asked, yeah. You know, funny thing about that, somebody Ashley, would you like to speak? You know, when they ask the question, they do pollings. What's the worst fears? Okay. So most people in the top 10 is they have a fear of speaking in front of small groups, meeting groups, speaking in front of people. But I have to tell people the truth that for those of us who are public servants, our worst fear is we won't be asked to speak in front of people. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here, but especially to speak on this particular issue. And before I talk a little bit about Emily Adams, and her great career and her life and her legacy, and she did leave a great legacy when you read her bio. Let me thank this group of local public servants here, Supervisor Ostrander and all your council members, and the staff that works with them, because you got a great team here, and their staff is an extension of that team. And the big extension of that team is the wonderful constituents we have here in the town of Milton and in the village of Ballston Spa. And a lot of other counties, there's 62 across the state, don't do this, don't recognize their deceased veterans in the service they have provided, and then come back and even gone above and beyond with their service like Emily has. So as I thank them by extension, I thank the Board of Supervisors and Frank McClement for having this unbelievable and wonderful program. And I'm kind of excited. I never did it twice for the same person. And I'm excited you weren't there and we were disappointed, but I got to talk about her. But I rejoice in talking about a person like Emily Adams because I can relate to her in two special ways. My father was a veteran, World War II. Helene, New Guinea, he worked out there. My uncles were involved in the military. And I consider them and Emily a part of the best, the brightest, the most courageous and compassionate fighting force for good in the world, the members of the United States Armed Forces. And I know it was a wave, and she was a part of that, getting our women involved. She was one of the women who not only broke the glass ceiling, she broke a lot of windows by going out there and saying, I'm going to dedicate myself patriotic to this country, to the greatest nation in the world. And rest assured, she was a part of making us, and by extension, all the veterans from her being there and after, kept us as the greatest nation in the world because of their service. Because the sacrifices she was willing to make, and many she did make, and all the other individuals, some who gave the supreme sacrifice, really are special. Because a lot of other countries have the same freedoms and liberties we have. Because, we have a constitution. Our founding fathers did a tremendous job in chronicling all our freedoms and liberties. But they didn't give those freedoms and liberties to us. No man or no woman gave them. No man or no woman can take them away. And we were born with these inalienable rights. But we get to live those freedoms and liberties because of the sacrifices of the Emily Adams and all of our soldiers and veterans, because they were willing to sacrifice everything they hold dear so we could live those freedoms and liberties and have everything we hold dear at the highest level. All the moms and dads, all the children in every country in the world wake up every morning with the same freedoms and liberties. We really get to live in the United States of America because of her sacrifice. So I'm proud and excited because of that as a Navy individual and the work she did there. But then she came back. And you may not know this. I say this tongue in cheek. I had a real job at one time. Not 20 years, but spent 10 years as a teacher, as an educator. Like it being in the classroom. And kids are our future. Their future is their education. And she dedicated 20 years of her life after she came back to change the world for them in a better way. And there's a lot of their siblings and relatives and children and grandchildren because of her, because of the education she provided to them. I'm sure the moral compass she assisted them in, who are better people now, and their relatives are better people now because of her dedication and the family structure she helped build also. Now, I could never do anything, and I think Abraham Lincoln said it best at Gettysburg when he said, I can't commemorate, I can't concentrate these individuals who sacrificed so much on this burial ground. All he could do is say thank you. So I say thank you to her for everything she was willing to sacrifice when she took that oath of office, then come back and put forth here in her own country. But there's one thing I can do that I think is kind of special. there's one highest award we have in the New York State Senate. And mostly we give it to veterans. They have to be special people. We had to take her biography and we had to give it to the special commission we have. This is called the Liberty Medal. We have a special commission. This had to be voted on unanimously by the New York State Senate. And that's why I didn't have it at the last meeting to give to you, because they go through this, nitpick it, and a lot of people don't make it. They don't reach the level of the Liberty Medal. She reached that level, and consensus 100% vote in support of giving her the Liberty Medal. Now, if you know the New York State Legislature and the Senate, nothing passes unanimously in the New York State Senate, okay? So she is a very special person to have that happen to her. And this is what the Liberty Medal looks like. And it goes to those individuals who are, well, let me read what it says on the citation. New York State Senate Liberty Award, presented for exceptional valor and dedication on behalf of the people of the state of New York. This award hereby honors Emily J. Adams posthumously. It was dated the 20th day of August, because that was when we, in the past, 2024, signed Senator James N. Tedisco, New York State Senate, 44th Senatorial District. And I think I'd like to maybe put this on you, Ashley. Would that be all right? And she's probably looking down, and as I put it on her, she's seeing that she's receiving this, and we're remembering her valor, and the support she gave our great nation so we could live in the greatest nation in the world. God bless Emily Adams, and congratulations to you. Citations. And I don't think the whole thing is. Even this is the honestly. Because I can ruin all your reputations. You know what I mean? God bless you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator.
I thank Senator Disco for coming today because, again, he was there at the last meeting as well. Many of the others couldn't be here tonight. They regretfully said they couldn't be able to make this meeting tonight, but they do all have things for you as well. So I'm just going to basically look at these really quickly and tell you basically what they're about. So you have an idea of what we saw. It was a very touching ceremony, by the way. Again, you can see it on the internet, right? So yeah, I have one thing, but document here.
Mike, can you use the microphone?
Yeah, sorry. Let me grab this file first. You have a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay. I have one document here. This is from President Joseph Biden. The United States of America honors the memory of Emily J. Adams. This certificate is awarded by grateful nation in recognition of devoted and selfless consecration to the service of our country and the United Armed Forces of the United States. So this is signed by President Biden. I also have a document here, basically signed by the members of Congress. I can't read that. James Tunley. I'm not sure who signed it, but it's from Congress. Actually, I see it's Paul Tonko. Sorry, Congressman Paul Tonko. And also signed here is a document that states that this is certified that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on January 9th, 2024, at the request of the Honorable Paul Tonko, member of Congress. This flag was flown on the occasion for the Saratoga County Honor of Veterans Ceremony. Right now, Emily's flag is flying over Congress. You will receive that from Saratoga County. Okay, so there's that. They'll contact you. The veterans will contact you about getting the flag. This is regrets of Mr. Tonko for not being able to attend last time. This document is a citation from the New York State Assembly from Mary Beth Walsh, dated August 20th, 2024, also recognizing Emily's selfless service to her country. I have a number of documents from the county. We have a document from the district attorney's office recognizing Emily's service, and a medal that goes along with that for Saratoga County veterans. We also have a proclamation given by Saratoga County here, which one of you can take home with you. And Emily J. Adams. Okay, again, this is another, this is for the Saratoga County Clerk, Craig Hayner. So again, we have a series of things from the county. Hey, here's the- This is a medal for the Korean War veterans. Basically, this goes to honor deceased veterans of Saratoga County from Frank McClements, the head of the Saratoga Veterans Agency. It says, presented on the 20th day of August to the family of Emily J. Adams, Town of Milton, United States Navy, in recognition and appreciation for her faithful service in our country and the armed forces of the United States of America. Last but not least, the Town of Milton. I created this little image for to put up. You can put up on a desk or on the wall. I have several copies here of your mom and her service, your grandmother or mother-in-law. Okay. And we also have a proclamation from the Supervisor Ostrander and the town council members. Okay. So thank you very much for attending tonight. We appreciate it. We appreciate the service you're providing for our country as well. Yeah. Thank you. Look on the internet.
You're gonna miss the best.
The best part yet to come.
Mike, once again, I just want to thank you for the job you did on that ceremony. It was a very touching ceremony at the county. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Next on the agenda is public comment on agenda items only. So public comment number 1, agenda items only. Public comment number 1 is now open. Anyone like to speak? Yes. Oh, Mayor, it's you. I didn't see you back there. I see you were hiding. He's a hard act to follow, so.
Yeah, always. Fred Rossi Jr., 63B Saratoga Avenue in Ballston Spa, mayor of the village of Ballston Spa. You're set to, it looks like, name public hearing on September 25th, 2024 for this year's fire contract. Something we've been doing a full exercise to get through and get done. But we are extremely close in terms of the language. Just want to, because I was chastised, like you were chastised, Jim, for direct contact today by attorney. But you know, the intent here was to get this wrapped up. The concern is the documentation being required because we aren't what I would call in a position to have our treasurer provide things like mileage logs, usage logs, and statements of services provided by the Fire Protection District. Obviously, those are things that could come from directly from the fire department, and we would probably prefer that the direct contact occur between the town and the fire department for things like that. When it comes to accounts, we have not separated our accounts officially, but I am looking into getting a bank account to put both the Milton and the Ballston money in and draw from, because when we spend something, we don't say, hey, this is from the Milton fire money and this is from the Ballston fire money. So we're happy to try to create more of a protected zone overall for the money from the two contracts and provide everybody the bank statements from that account at the end of the day. It's all still in our general fund, but it's like our payroll account. It's just a separate account that's still operating out of the general funds at the end of the day. So those are the only things that really that at this point are still, you know, questions. I think ultimately Jim and Carla, our attorney, both went back and forth over the last hours, literally. And I would assume that with those minor tweaks, Jim, we probably could get this concluded at this point in time. So she had suggested I come out here and send that message directly. So here I am sending that message directly so that we have no confusion and have things in the right spot. We still would have to get the minor tweak in language approved by our board, just like yours, but we'll assume for your public hearing purposes that we could be in that position to get you forward for next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else like to speak? Amanda, anybody via Zoom? With that said, public hearing or public comment number 1 is now closed. Moving on, next, a presentation by Dave Meager from AMSURE. Dave, good evening. How are you?
I'm sure the audience is happy to hear an insurance presentation. I promise you, I'll do the Reader's Digest version, although the board has their copies and your controller has his copy. Couple of things, as a former town supervisor, you should never put me in front of a microphone because you know I'm going to say something relating to that ceremony, which was wonderful. Couple of things. I don't know how many of you know, but Jim Tedisco was a absolutely fabulous basketball player for Union College. And probably his scoring records are still standing. He was just a terrific player. The other thing I would just quickly like to mention, I was interested in your veteran ceremonies. Those are always wonderful. We should always honor our veterans. But my colleague, Dustin Hall, served in the U.S. Navy for 5 years on an aircraft carrier. And as I always like to comment, aircraft carriers aren't sent to Bermuda or Aruba. They go to the hot spots. So he was in the hot spots for 5 years. But so when I heard your veteran was in the Navy and my colleague was in the Navy, I had to mention that. So quick review of the insurance, just an overview, and stop me any place, but each board member has a copy of what I am reviewing. And every year, to those of you who attend town board meetings know, I come for this review. And first of all, the big picture is the town is insured with the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal. And I'll refer that, I won't say that again, other than refer to them as NYMIR. They were created by the associations of towns to be an insurance company for towns and villages and cities. Obviously not New York City, not Buffalo, but they concentrate on upstate New York, and now they insure the vast majority of towns in the state of New York. And that's all they do, by the way. They don't do anything else, so their claim people know what they're doing. They've got attorneys on staff, and they do a good job. So page 2 is just how you reach us. Page 3 and over onto page 4 is a list of all your buildings and contents. And the way NYMIR does it, they add them all up and they come up with a blanket limit, which is the total. Now they have raised those by 9% to keep up to date with construction costs and inflation and supply chain issues. So the blanket limit is 14 million. The beauty of that is if any of the buildings that you own are totally destroyed, you aren't limited to the numbers that are shown on this page. You can always access the blanket limit. So it's another way of saying you're not going to be underinsured. It's another way of saying you got 14 million of insurance on any one of your buildings. You do have replacement cost coverage, so they're not going to depreciate one reason that blanket limit went up so much was during the year, we added the fuel dispensing system out at your new highway location. And also we added the storage building out there. And I know you have a garage under construction, and been assured by your engineer, the contractors are carrying the builder's risk on that. So that's why you don't see that listed here. The one other thing I always like to mention is the deductible. It's $5,000, but it's what's called a disappearing deductible. So as the claim approaches $50,000, the deductible is going down all the time. When the claim gets over $50,000, there's no deductible. So that's a nice feature. Page 5 is the general liability. That basically falls into two categories. One is slips and falls on town property. The other is accidents that take place on town roads. The town is always the deep pocket when there's an accident on a town road. It looks like you have $1 million limit, but you've got a $10 million umbrella, so you really have an $11 million limit. The one exclusion which can be addressed is on inflatables. If you're ever going to use a bounce house in any of your programs or any of your events, have your recreation director call me ahead of time, and there's a way to address that. But there is an exclusion for that, but it can be addressed. Page 6 is very important coverage today, and that is cyber. Basically, the public would think of that as hacking into your records and those records being compromised. This insurance will afford you protection for that kind of event, will pay the money to notify the people who were affected, pay for their credit counseling. So it's a very, very important coverage. I won't spend any time at all on it other than to refer, after page 12, I included a list. NYMER provides all those free cyber services that are shown on that page. And I obviously won't go through them all. The other thing I'll say is what NYMER has done is they have hired a cyber specialist who you can talk to anytime. Her phone number and her email address are listed on that page. She's got a PhD in cyber, so I don't think you can do better than that. The public officials policy, that is one that protects all elected and appointed officials and employees for claims arising out of things like sexual harassment, wrongful dismissal, violation of civil rights, planning and zoning. All those kind of claims are covered under the public officials policy. So you don't have to lose any sleep that you are going to get sued individually, because this policy is for that purpose. But on top of that, your terrific town attorney had seen to it that you've adopted a local law that says the town will protect and indemnify. Those are fancy words. If for some reason that public officials policy didn't come into play, and I can't imagine why it wouldn't, but if that event took place, there is this local law the town has adopted, at my suggested many years ago, that will provide attorneys to defend you and pay any judgment rendered against you. So over on page 7, you might wonder, why do we have a law enforcement policy? We don't have a police department. The reason you have a law enforcement policy, and I think we added it this year during the year, is because you have an armed guard in the court. And today, it's unfortunately a sign of our times. Most of the towns have an armed guard in their courts. The middle of page 7 is the bond. It protects the town for misappropriation of money by anyone entrusted with the money. We've got $500,000 on everybody. And then we've listed certain positions that have extra insurance on them. And at the bottom of the page is that umbrella that I talked about. It adds 10 million to your auto, 10 million to your general liability, 10 million to your law enforcement. Page 8 and 9, I'll go through real quickly. It's the automobile policy, lists all the vehicles. The way to understand pages 8 and 9 is just look at the two right-hand columns. The pickups and trucks like that have comprehensive inclusion on them, and the dump trucks have the same kind of coverage, but they're covered on the contractor's equipment policy because NYMER has found it's less expensive to cover them there. So the ones with an asterisk don't mean they're not covered. The only one that's not covered is the one that says NA, and that's a trailer. So over on page 10 and on to page 11 is all the contractor's equipment that I mentioned. $1,000 deductible. We do also cover unscheduled tools and also emergency disaster inventory equipment for $40,000. And the bottom of page 11, just quickly, your workers' comp is through the Saratoga County Self-Insurance Plan. And so your disability is, we write that through a private company, and it protects your employees for off-the-job illness. It pays part of their salary if they're hurt off the job. Workers' comp pays part of their salary if they're hurt on the job. And you have, I think, wisely increased that. You've doubled the statutory. The statutory limit's 170 a week, and you've made it 340 a week. Then we get to page 12. It's always hard for me as a former budget officer to see the premium go up, but you remember what I said at the beginning, all your property went up 9%. Your blanket limit went up almost $5 million because of the two properties we added out at the garage. We added law enforcement during the year, plus it's a sign of the times, and probably a lot of you have seen this on your auto and your home insurance. Insurance and inflation are intertwined. So it's about 8%. I wish it were less, but hopefully I've explained why there is that increase this year. And lastly, just page 13, those are things that we recommend. And one of them is to work closely by reviewing any contract from an insurance point of view. Obviously, your attorney looks at it from a legal point of view, but many times Jim and I are looking at the same contract. I'm looking at the insurance part, he's looking at the legal part. And the whole goal of both of us is to protect the town of Milton. And it's quite simple today, if you get involved early enough in a contract, to transfer the risk from the town to the contractor or whoever is the vendor. So I think that's a pretty quick summary. I hope I didn't go on too long, but if there's any questions, I'm glad to try to answer them.
Any questions? No, I don't think so, no. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your loyalty. As many of you know, I go back to when Wilbur Treble was supervisor, and we've worked with your town ever since. So I appreciate that kind of loyalty. We'll always do our best for you. Thank you. Have a good meeting, and thanks to the public for your patience.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Next on the agenda is resolution number 82, resolution enacting a local law number 5 of 2024, amending various sections of the town code, whereas town board has been reviewing various town regulations and related laws, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board, town of Milton hereby approves a modification of the current town code and adopts local law number 5 of 2024, amending chapters 6, 14, 34, 46, and 146, a full copy of which local law is attached hereto, and be it further resolved, the town clerk be and she is hereby directed to enter into local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the town of Milton, give the due notice of the adoption of the said local law to the Secretary of the State of New York. Motion for resolution number 82.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next on the agenda is resolution number 83 of 2024, resolution to declare the equipment obsolete, outdated, damaged, and no longer needed for town purposes, whereas the town has a number of outdated electronic devices and miscellaneous equipment that are due to their age and condition are worn out, damaged, outdated, no longer in use, or of little or no value, and is not needed for town purposes, and now therefore be resolved, town board hereby declares the electronic devices and other miscellaneous equipment on the attached list to be old, obsolete, outdated, damaged, and of little value or no longer needed to suit the town purposes, and directs the said devices and items to be properly disposed as directed by the town supervisor in accordance with the town code and state law. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 83.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Froelich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution number 84 of 2024. Resolution to approve the modification of the general construction contracts, Phase Land Phase 2 for the Round Street Highway Facility per recommendation of Delaware Engineering, D.P.C, and the Facilities Committee, whereas the original estimated completion schedule indicated a April 15, 2024 turnover date. However, the work that needed to be performed by National Grid was delayed by National Grid, which caused an extension of the general construction contract, which included the rental of a temporary fencing for security purposes to August of 2024, and now therefore be resolved, the town board, after due consideration upon recommendation of the Town Facilities Committee, Town Engineer, Project Architect, Delaware Engineering, D.P.C, and the review of the Town Comptroller approves, authorizes, and awards the following changes. Order is set forth in the attached letter captioned recommendation to approve the contract modification of Delaware Engineering, D.P.C, dated August 28th of 2024. Number one, Bass Hatfield Construction LLC, the extension of the rental of temporary fencing for site security that requires a net contract value change increase in the sum of $2,135. And it is further resolved, town board hereby directs supervisor to take whatever steps are necessary to execute an agreement between the town of Milton Bass Hatfield Construction LLC for such improvements and work, and any required change order documentation or inspection documentation which will be needed and necessary for the processing completion of the change order, and to do all that is needed and required and pay all amounts owed under this agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. A motion for resolution number 84.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes, next, a motion to set a hearing for September 25th, 2024 at 6:30 PM for the Village of Ballston Spa fire contract for the contract year January number 1 of 2024 through December 31st of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Froelich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes, next, a motion to approve Bill Murdie to buy back 40 hours of vacation time.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr, or
Yeah.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yep.
sorry. Councilman Froelich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes, next, a motion to approve the town clerk to attend training on September 15th and 16th with a cost not to exceed $500.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Froelich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, a motion to approve the Town of Milton Assessor Laura Minsky to attend a Saratoga County Assessors Association meeting at the Monroe State Park on September the 12th of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Councilman Del Nicky, Councilwoman Soden,
Yes.
Councilman Frolish,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr,
yes,
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes, next, the department and committee reports, starting with animal control. Eric?
The Animal Control Monthly Report for July 2024. Total calls 126, bite cases 2, dangerous dog hearing 0, animals seized 5, and some tickets were issued. Unlicensed dog 6, running at large 2, nuisance dog 1, for a total of 9. Respectfully submitted, David Drzezinski, Animal Control Officer.
Thank you, Eric. Next, assessor's office. Eric also.
A note from the assessor's office. School tax rates are in. Rates per thousand for the following: Ballston Spa Central School District tax rate $20.74. Galway Central School District tax rate is $19.12. Saratoga Springs Central School District tax rate is $14.92. The assessed value divided by the state-derived equalization rate is the full market value. The 2024 tax roll for the town of Milton has an equalization rate of 63%. The lower the equalization rate, the higher the full market value. Remember, you are taxed on your assessed value, not the full market value. The full market value may change year to year due to the equalization rate changes. Most popular question in our office right now: when am I getting my Star Credit check? Star Credit checks for Saratoga County, Town of Milton will go out late August, early September. Please contact New York State directly for inquiries at 518-457-2036. Homes purchased or owned after 2015 are only eligible for Star Credit. Homeowners are eligible for Star Credit or Star exemptions. Homes owned prior to 2015, but not both. New homeowners must register directly with New York State. If you have an escrow account and are receiving Star Credit check, we encourage you to deposit that check directly into your escrow account to help offset changes in tax rates. I hope you have a safe and happy Labor Day. Respectfully submitted, Laura Orminsky, Town of Milton Assessor.
Thank you, Eric. Next, building department, John.
During the month of July, the building department managed 39 building permits, collected $8,504 in building permit fees, completed 98 construction inspections, fulfilled 39 fire safety inspections, responded to 39 code enforcement violations. A total of 6 certificate of occupancies were issued, along with 15 certificates of compliance.
Thank you, John. Next, buildings and grounds, Barb.
buildings and grounds. During the month of July, I did daily cleaning of the community center, town parks, and all town offices, set up and takedowns at the community center. I did weekly mowing of the parks, cemeteries, and monthly inspections of fire extinguishers and AED machines. I had the pleasure of training and leading 3 summer youth employees. During this time, we washed all the windows at the community center. We cleaned the crafts room and the pool room. That's the senior table pool room. They don't have their own pool. And I started repairing the irrigation system at the community center. We picked up all debris, weeds, and garbage around our parks, including removing all the weeds and trees growing in the chain link fence throughout the parks. While working at Susan Lyle Park, we painted all lines in the parking lot and washed all the playground equipment, cut down the dead cedar trees, and planted flowers at the entrance. The heavy rains had washed out many areas of the Milton Mile, so we repaired the trails, installed bark mulch and landscape stone at Skylight Drive entrance of the Milton Mile. Respectfully submitted, Mark Leroy, Maintenance Supervisor.
Thank you, Barb. Next, Comptroller's financial reporting package issued to the town board. It's made available for public inspection on our town website. Director of Planning, Meg.
Okay, progress to date, this is from Sophia Maruso. She had some onboarding established as set up at the town hall, introductions to staff and consultants, attended a planning board meeting on the 14th of August. is coordinating with both Brenda and Amanda regarding new applications, discussed application intake process and completeness review process, developing planning board review template, reviewing town code for zoning and subdivision regulations, and introduction to stormwater management program, secured a list of active construction projects with open permits. Next actions to happen are coordinate with clerks and Chairman Bartow, as well as Patrick Terhune in zoning. The deadline to review applications, meeting tentatively scheduled for today to review those applications for completeness. Provide staff reviews for planning board application in advance of the upcoming meeting on September 11th. Work with the planning board chair and zoning board chair to develop staff review format and assess needs of the boards. Coordinate with Delaware Engineering on upcoming project review and research record keeping for active construction projects for stormwater management compliance. Respectfully submitted, Sophia Maruso.
Thank you, Meg. Next, economic development, John.
Good evening. As we observed last month, the pace of initiatives and development naturally slowed down during the summer months, a trend typical for this time of the year. However, with the arrival of fall, we anticipate a resurgence in activity. We are already seeing signs of renewed interest and engagement, which should translate into meaningful progress in the coming months. This report will outline the key activities from the past month, as well as provide a preview of the projects and opportunities we expect to pursue in the season transitions. Your continued support and collaboration will be crucial as we work to capitalize on these opportunities and drive economic growth in our town. The North Line Road project. I held a meeting with the owner-developer, Mr. Chima, to discuss the further expansion plans of his project. Mr. Chima indicated he had an interest in attracting a fast food operation to his property, and also the possibility of retail tenants for a possible strip mall. Through a lively exchange of thoughts and ideas, a number of possibilities came to mind, which will be prospects for future contacts. Meetings with commercial real estate brokers. I held meetings with 2 brokers to discuss their possible involvement in attracting business investors to the North Line Road project. Both indicated their enthusiasm for the possibility, and they are aware of the many positive projects that are happening in Milton and would like to be involved in sharing in them. The targeted retail specialty store. Following the preliminary contact I made last month through a mailing of our economic development brochure, I spoke with the director of retail operations and organizational development about the possibility of their establishing a presence in the capital region with a store on the proposed Milltown Center project. The discussions were very fruitful, with the director indicating they would like to establish a presence in the eastern part of the state, since the only store they have is in Buffalo. However, they have no immediate plans for expansion at this time, which was not an immediate concern, since the Milltown project will not be constructing for at least a year. At this point, we are leaving it open for future discussions and consideration. Engagement with Popeyes. Following my report last month, I sent our letter of interest and economic development brochure to the Vice President of Development and followed up with a personal contact. I learned that this person was no longer associated with the company, so I contacted the franchisee directly, who owns several stores in the area, and held an encouraging conversation. He indicated they are currently building in Queensbury, but he is still very much interested in the Saratoga area and requested that I forward information directly to him. Again, our letter of interest and economic development brochure was sent to the franchisee, and I'm currently waiting for his response, and this is all to be continued. McDonald's. With the entry of a popular fast food restaurant coming into our town center, And with the close proximity to our main intersection, there is no question it will be a magnet to attract other businesses. So in consideration of future economic development from other businesses, the architectural style of this building is an important element as an example for future businesses to follow. I arranged a meeting with the McDonald's engineer, our planning board chairman, and building inspector to discuss the design elements which would conform with our general guidelines. And after a lengthy discussion, we all agreed on a style that should be presented to the planning board next month. And a new opportunity, which is a cannabis dispensary. For over 1 year, I have been working with an individual who was very aware of the growth opportunities in Milton and had a serious interest in opening a cannabis dispensary somewhere in our town. We had investigated numerous locations, but almost everyone was limited and unacceptable by our town code. The applicant subsequently located a spot in the village only because it appeared there were no further options in our town. As a result, the 3% excise tax revenues from sales would have to be split between the village and the town. I continued to explore other possibilities and ultimately arranged a meeting between the applicant and the owner of the cigar store on Northline Road. Subsequent negotiations followed, and the applicant decided to lease space at that location, which means that being in the town will now receive the full 3% tax in addition to the standard share of the county sales tax revenues. The applicant has presented the project to the planning board and is under currently review, and we anticipate it'll be approved in October. Our town website. One of the standard methods of background checks today when businesses or individuals are looking to invest in another business, city, or town is to seek how this entity in question performs their operations, what information is available, and how professional is the management through their website. There's been a fair amount of discussion about the quality of our town website recently, plus my own concern of the impression a potential investor would receive should they be interested in economic development. I contacted a group called Elevation 10,000, which creates and manages websites. And they claim to provide highly professional results. I met with the president and assistant and held a lengthy discussion regarding the current needs of Milton. Prior to the meeting, they reviewed our website and later made some very informative suggestions on how to make the site not only more appealing to an investor, but also more importantly, user-friendly to our residents. I requested that they forward all of their promotional information to Supervisor Ostrander for consideration, which they did. And other activities, as a member of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, I continue to attend the monthly meetings in addition to the regular planning board meetings and also functions of the Saratoga Chamber of Commerce. And that's the activities for the month.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next, the health officer report, Eric.
It's brief. As summer is ending, the dangers of water and road safety persist. Playground injuries still require vigilance. Diseases caused by insects and animals continue. Food safety is important to prevent food poisoning. Vaccine preventable illness such as polio is back due to lack of immunization and increased exposure. As fall approaches, it is time to check heating units and smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Signed, Dr. Gail Buckley, MD.
Thank you, Eric. Next, the highway department, John.
Okay, the highway department spring cleanup ended May 15th. To promptly remove yard debris, town residents can bring their yard debris to the transfer station located at 503 Geyser Road. Transfer station hours are Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is closed on holiday weekends, and there is no regular pickup of lawn debris until fall pickup begins October 15th. Loose debris cannot be placed curbside until fall cleanup begins on October 15th. If a complaint is received about loose debris, warning notices will be issued. We have seen numerous strong storms this season. Please call the office at 518-885-5655. If you have debris from a storm, we will confirm your address and if availability to do a storm debris only pickup. We have finished working on drainage repairs and roadway construction on Finley Road, and we are now starting roadway reconstruction on Gray Birch Trail. We are hoping to be completed as quickly as possible.
Thanks, John. Next, Mike, historian.
Good evening once again. Here's my historian's report for August 2024. First thing, at the end of July, I received the report from the U.S. Department of Energy describing the demolition process for Building 3 on Kesserling site. The structure, which was originally built in 1950 as a firehouse, had exceeded its recommended service life. The report was filed in the vault of the town hall. On August 4th, I and the Sons of the American Revolution Color Guard marched for the Saratoga County in the Turning Point Parade in Schuylerville, celebrating the victory of Saratoga in the Revolutionary War. On August 6th, I did a series of presentations for the Milton Summer Camp program on the material culture of soldiers of the Revolutionary War and did a cannon demonstration with the assistance of Controller Bramer. On August 13th, I met with the members of the Milton 250th Committee to discuss future projects and events. We discussed the upcoming cemetery program and reviewed the program. We produced the program, and the actual cemetery program will be North Milton Cemetery, 11 a.m. Saturday, if anybody's interested in attending. So we're gonna have the Sons of American Revolutionary, Daughters of American Revolution, I think the VFW. Hopefully somebody from the town council will be there to unveil the signs, a couple people, right? Okay, great, appreciate it. We also discussed the upcoming kiosk ceremony. We created a program for that. That's also going to be in October 26th at 11 a.m. on the corner of Ed Treble Park on the corner of Route 67 and Middle Line Road. That will be very well attended. I guess there's going to be the assemblyman's going to be there. Assemblywoman's going to be there. The county's going to be there, county historian, county administrator. We're going to have a couple cannons there, fire off and things like that. So again, it's for the opening of the panels over here, which were entirely financed by private donations. So the town didn't pay for anything for that. And as Jason can verify, they're very informative, right, Jason? Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you. We also discussed Revolutionary Tribute Night, Supervisor Ostrander's favorite night of the week, which will take place on October 17th at 7 p.m. at Milton Tavern. Flyers, which are available on the front table up here. Please pass this along to anyone you might think be interested in testing their knowledge about the Revolutionary War. And again, that's October 17th, 7 p.m. August 20th, I, along with Councilwoman Kerr and Supervisor Ostrander, attended a ceremony celebrating the service of deceased veteran Emily Adams. And on August 22nd, I met with the Saratoga County 250th Commission to discuss upcoming county-wide events related to the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War. That's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Justice Court, Barb?
Justice courts for the month of July. Fines, $3,245. Surcharges, $2,761. Civil fees, $1,320 for a total of $7,326. Respectfully submitted, Judge Brown and Judge Promy.
Thank you, Barb. Next, Planning and Zoning Board reports. Meg?
Okay, lots going on, especially on the planning board. Attended several of their meetings, July 31st, August 14th, August 21st. So the July 31st and August 21st were special meetings for the Milltown Center to discuss various elements of the project, which included parking, traffic, pedestrian walkways, sewer, water, erosion, topography, and stormwater. The August 14th was the regularly scheduled planning board meeting, and that had several items on it, including 355 Finley Road, which was for a minor subdivision, and that was referred to the county. 652 Grand Avenue, which was also for a minor subdivision, and that was public hearing was scheduled for September 11th. 201 North Line Road was a special use permit. They discussed the need for an additional special use permit for a walk-up window They determined that a provisional state license was sufficient to move forward. Treeville Avenue, the special use permit site plan, and that's for the McDonald's. They presented their concept site plan, several questions on the architectural features, and the applicant is redesigning at this point. Milltown Center was also discussed, which they focused their discussion on buildings, lighting, signage, landscaping, and town center guidelines. The final detailed review will be held at the regularly scheduled planning board meeting on September 11th. Zoning board took place August 22nd, and there was one item on there that was for 3297 Shaw Hill Road, which was for an area variance. It was the rear setback 75 feet to 21 feet, so it's a 54-foot relief due to constrained land to build a garage, and a public hearing is scheduled for September 26th at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Mike. Receiver of taxes, there's no report, correct? Thank you, Lisa. Town clerk, Brenda.
July of 2024, we had 8 marriages, 4 certified marriage certificates, 105 certified death certificates, 20 FOIL and search of records requests, 169 dog licensing, of which 36 of them were online, 28 hunting or fishing licenses, 5 pavilion or community center rentals with a town share of $4,790.12.
Thank you, Brenda. Do we have any youth bureau this
I
month?
don't, but I do have a report on summer camp, if you want me to read that now.
Sure.
Okay. So summer camp's over. The campers had a blast. As you can see, if you check out our Facebook page, there's pictures of everything. They had 6 field trips and some camp activities. Bowling and movies were the favorites again. We increased our count to 170 and had an average of about 101 campers every day, which is the same percentage as it was last year. County Youth Program sent us 17s, and we had 4 for our camp, and Mark had 3 for his cleaning. This year we implemented the Fields Day again. So we did Field Day at the last day of camp. They haven't been held in quite a while, and the kids loved it. They had relay races, games, snow cones, popcorn, but I think the biggest hit was the dunk tank when they got to dunk Supervisor Ostrander. Final paperwork's been turned into the county, and we're starting to plan for next year.
I just we came in under budget for summer camp, so
We came in under budget
you
for
had
summer
made some
camp.
purchases for next year, so we do not have to make
Correct.
rental
Yes.
agreements.
Yep.
Popcorn, snow cone.
Cotton candy. Yes.
So we've ordered all those machines because we came in under budget because we every year have to rent them from a vendor. So that was good news. Okay, public comment number 2 is next. Comment number 2 on any town business. Public comment number 2 is now open if anyone would like to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Marion Pitsis, 516 Elk Circle. I'm hoping you can clear up some confusion for me. I'm confused about the ethics board, and it seems like our town board might be a little confused too. Here's what I'm confused about. The town ethics board has 2 vacancies. It's been brought up at previous town board meetings. So I did a little research. Come to find out, ethics boards under municipalities, towns, cities, is covered by New York State General Municipal Law, Chapter 808. And it states, I quote, "The members of a local board shall be appointed by such person or body as may be designated by the governing body of the municipality to serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority, and such board shall consist of at least 3 members." Got it. That's similar to our ethics code in our Milton Town Code. A majority of whom are not otherwise officers or employees of such municipality. This is the sentence that confuses me. Such board shall include at least 1 member who is an elected or appointed municipal officer or employee. in chapter 14, which is our Town of Milton code, under number B5, states, in quotes, "No officer or employee of the Town of Milton is eligible to serve on the Board of Ethics." This seems to me to be in direct opposition to the New York State General Municipal Law, and I don't know if our town board is aware of that or if the town attorney has been asked to review that. So I'm concerned that the town board doesn't seem too worried about the fact that we have a 3-member board with 2 vacancies, and those vacancies have been rather long-standing, and that at least one applicant has put an application in as of April 7th. That was nearly 5 months ago, and that person has not been given an interview or any feedback about their application. Also, I just have a question for John Olenek, which I'm sure is rhetorical to him. I don't believe in any of the surveys of the community that went out that anyone was in favor of fast food restaurants. We've already got a McDonald's. I don't understand why he would be talking to Popeyes based on the results of the community survey. And I'm not sure where on North Line Road the project was you were talking about, John? Yeah, not the smoke shop one. Is it the gas station convenience store? Okay, thank you for clarifying that. That's all I
Marianne, I
have.
want to say something about the ethics board. We did have a discussion on this. And tonight, we talked to the town attorney, and there's going to be a letter going out to our ethics board about those vacancies. So we are moving on it.
Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Suzanne Cannell, 12 Surrey Lane, Ballston Spa, New York. The reason I'm up here is I have one question. Again, Marion Pitts has stated the same thing about the surveys. I'm surprised that nothing has been checked on with the surveys to find out if, in fact, we need more fast food places. It seems to me that that's the only thing that we're doing is going to franchises. Is there any other way that we can possibly procure some other types of businesses other than franchises? It seems like there are people here who would like to open up different businesses, but they aren't given the opportunity. And I don't know if the opportunity is available to them or if someone can do something like put an ad in the paper saying that we have an area for economic development and therefore we might be able to do something more. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I think just going to franchises for fast food places is certainly not good for any of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Yes, sir.
Evening, everybody. Dan Galvin, 31 Ichabod Lane. It's been a while. Hope you guys have had a good summer so far. Absolutely. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, right? We can safely say that we're all under the understanding that there is a large contingent, and I stress the word large contingent, of constituents in the town of Milton and even the village of Ballston Spa, Rock City Falls, that are, I'll use the term lightly, concerned at the, not just the amount of development, but now it just seems the increasing speed at which all of this is starting to happen, almost a snowball effect. And now we start to see with the director and his vision, which seems to be only his vision, for the businesses that we're attracting to the town. Large corporations, multi-million, at some are probably close to billion-dollar franchises, that I can safely say from seeing it all over the country and places that I've lived that they do not care whatsoever about our values in Milton. All they care about is making money. We can sit here and argue that the the tax revenue that we would receive from these businesses is worth it. Well, the sales tax is next to nil that Milton would see from it going to the state and then to the county and then back down to Milton. So really, we were looking at property tax, but even that, is it really worth what we're giving away? Most people that I talk to, whether they're this side or that side or whatever you want to say, they moved to Milton, whether it was 40 years ago or 5 years ago. The one thing that they all have in common is they moved here for the small town feel. Now, the state of New York just dumped close to $30 million into the airport to add a terminal. I went over just on a whim the other night and looked at the size of the aircraft that are sitting over there. Well, pretty close to a 737. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you the pictures. That's what flies over the top of people's houses. And we've had conversations that it isn't safe, but what do we do? Well, the more that we encourage the overdevelopment of this town, the more that an airport expansion looks like a good idea, right? The more money that continues to flow into this area, just like it did in the town of Colony. And then we see what happened with Albany County Airport. We see what happened in Clifton Park. Some people in this room grew up in Clifton Park and remember when 146 was a cow field. And now we look at it. People would say the same about Malta. And now it's happening here. Once we open the door, that's it. The big interests come in, right? We can look at a national convention that was a couple of days ago, last week, maybe, whatever it was. And we look at the ring of suites above all of the little people, all the money that is pushing what is really happening. That's here. It's money that's pushing all of this, whether we want to admit it or not, right? 507 units selling for $250 million to New York City interests, another sale to New York City interests, franchises that are national chains. Nobody cares. Have we even looked at local? Do we even consider that? No. Right. So again, I guess I would question like where our heads are really at. Is this what we want? Do we want this to be Clifton Park? Because the next will be rezoning and pushing out. That's what's going to happen, whether we want to admit it or not. And there are serious concerns about that airport being expanded at a state level. So we may have beat eminent domain before at a county level, but I don't know if the state is going to be so kind in giving up a fight like that. So I guess it's really, again, I bring up the question, what do we really want Milton to be? Seriously. Like, talk to your neighbors. Ask them truly, what do you want to see Milton be? Because I know I'm not going to raise my kid in a town with a 737 flying over my house at 10 o'clock at night. I know I'm not going to raise my kid to eat fast food just because it's freaking convenient. So is it about the money or is it about who we really are as a town? Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Judah, 34 Van Tassel Lane. Before I start, there's a just a clerical error. The monthly reports that are posted for this. Sorry. There's a clerical error. The monthly reports posted for this meeting are actually from October of 2023. So just request that you can get that corrected. And I'm going to try to go a little bit quickly because I thought I was going to have 6 minutes because one of the things I wanted to talk about was an agenda item that was pulled from the agenda. And that is that there was a resolution to set a public hearing to discuss code changes regarding street and highway specifications and subdivisions. We believe we know where you're going with the street and highway specifications. We understand through attending meetings of the planning board that Milltown Center will require changes to the code, the street and highway specification codes, to widen streets, create parallel parking. There may be other things that I'm not catching on that, but we believe that that's the direction that you're trying to move in regards to that. What I would say is I suspect that you would indicate that that's in alignment with what the town center guidelines are and what the 2011 comprehensive plan was, and that, you know, it just didn't get done timely enough, and it's kind of cleaning it up to change that. I would say that that is a way of just disenfranchising the public from what that plan really is. I do not believe that anybody in 2001 or 2011 was envisioning what you're planning on doing. You are giving away the town with what you're planning. The section about subdivisions, very nervous about that. I've talked to people that are very worried about the fact that the plan may be to move the town center out into the R2 district and to expand it. I get worried about that when I read your FAQ response to the public meeting that was held on the town hall meeting. And when there was questions about that R2 zoning district, you respond, while there may be improvements to respond to new pressures and opportunities in the rural parts of Milton, in large measure, conserving the rural character of Milton has been a success. Again, if that proposed, whatever you were going to be doing at that public hearing is not about the rural district, you might calm people's nerves to say that out loud and talk to people about it. Then I want to shift a little bit to comprehensive planning. Every time I see this, I'm going to call it out. Again, in that same FAQ document that's listed with the stuff for the Milltown Center project, somebody's asking about our comprehensive plan. My understanding, it was last fully done in 2001. It was revisited in 2012. And the quote from the town is that that plan has and remains a development scheme envisioned by the town and its residents for over 2 decades. Again, I've said it up here a million times. I'm imploring you, it is not the vision of the residents. You should be able to see this. You should be able to hear it from the meetings, see it online. This is not what people want, but you're continuing to push it through. I spoke to a young family that moved out of Milton recently. I know the responses we're getting to comprehensive plan, I understand mostly people 55 and older responding. I asked this family, why did you leave? And among the reasons were they wanted a place that was quiet. They have concerns about traffic. There's a lack of diversity of food options. And I will assure you that this family is not talking about McDonald's or, you know, Texas Roadhouse or any of the other things that we've heard about. And they're also concerned about water quality. And they left Milton, young people that are gone. This is not what people want. So there's been, you know, talk at planning board meetings, comes up regularly about, you know, well, what's planned? There's more development planned. We got to make sure there's enough water at Heritage Springs for what we have planned. There's things you're anticipating that none of us know about, and we're very, very concerned. The next comprehensive plan meeting is this Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, Tuesday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. I really encourage the public to participate in that. In regards to that, I think that's the We Are Milton site. The last minutes posted online are June 4th. I know we could go back and forth, and you would have a, you know, you'd have a good legal position to say that that's not a public body that's subject to open meetings law. But I think that the other case could be argued as well. You know, is that a governmental function that's being served there? I will point out that there's 8 members on that, and the majority of the membership is either members of the board, paid consultants to the town, or decision makers for the town. So I would ask you to please, even if you don't feel it's required, to consider posting those minutes in a timely fashion so that the public knows what's happening. And then the final thing that I will say is a question. I've talked about it before. It has to do with the legal decision regarding the lawsuit on the Heritage Springs hookup fees. So my question is, because I haven't heard anything further since that decision came out, is, and I've asked this before, are we setting up an escrow account to collect fees pending the town's possible appeal of that decision? I know that legally you may want to be appealing it, but I want to remind you that in that legal decision, the town was ordered to pay the past hookup fees that were not collected plus interest and cover Heritage Springs legal fees as a sanction for what was determined by that particular judge to be contempt of court by several members of this town board in response to that resolution that was taken up. So I want to know what's being done to protect the taxpayers. Thank you.
Anyone else? John O'Leary.
If I may address Suzanne's concern about bringing other businesses in, if you are aware of any local people that are interested in bringing business into our town center, I'm not just focusing on chain restaurants. I'm very happy to talk to anybody and help them establish a business in our town, because we are all about economic development, no matter who it may be. So please have people contact me.
Thanks, John. Mayor Rossi?
Frank Rossi Jr., still 63 B.C. Saratoga Avenue, still mayor of the Village of Ballston Spa, unless somebody did something while I was away. I was curious about Marion's statement about what the required composition of an ethics board was, because we just redid our ethics code last year and we didn't have a member of or elected or appointed official. Just to clarify, if this was coming from General Municipal 808, that's for counties. And then they do have in the state of New York a model code, which includes the language that she had, but we're not required to use model codes, obviously. So I'll be honest with you, none of our boards should be on an ethics board. None of your board probably should be on an ethics board, because more often than not, it's about us anyway. And so I would feel for anybody that would have to sit on that ethics board and keep saying I recuse myself 82 times. So that's all I got for you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else? Amanda, anybody via Zoom? Yes? Okay.
Sharon Licata, can you unmute?
Hello there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Sharon, go ahead.
Hi, I have a request for a rundown on what's happening with the ARPA funds. I know that we have like 1.3 million in the bank. Well, 1.7 was received and 450,000 of it went to I believe the building on Rowan Street. But I'd like to know if we have any kind of committee established or any ideas on what we want to do in our community to spend these funds before we lose them. I know we're not guaranteed them forever, so at some point in time, a decision needs to be made on what to do with this. I'd hate to see it go back to the federal government. So that's all I have. Thank
Sharon,
you.
you can
Yeah.
stay on because Comptroller Bramer is going to address your question.
Oh, super.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi, Dave.
So the town was awarded 1.557739. So we're about $1.55 million in through ARPA resources. The town has obligated resources on 2 occasions, both to support the phase 1 highway garage project, which was the new, which was the cold storage building and the fuel island. So we are sitting on, if my memory serves right, about $956,000 as of the end of July. I think that the town's team, specifically its facilities committee is working through, a set of plans, and with help of the engineering team to develop some sort of, program or projects that we can, work towards, obligating the remaining resources towards. In no way, shape, or form will, we, as representatives of the town, allow for those resources to be, not obligated or expended by the end of this fiscal, at least obligated by the end of the fiscal year, and expended by December 31st of 2026. So I hope that
Great.
helps.
That does help, but I just can't wait to see what the plans are from this facilities committee.
We have coined and engaged our engineering group.
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't hear you.
Yep. We've engaged our engineering group, and that engagement is coined operationalize, reimagine Milton. I hope that you and members of the public and the persons in attendance are aware of the Reimagine Milton effort, which is the new reimagining the site in the absence of the highway garage facilities that are currently being relocated,
Right.
to the site at 459 Rowland Street.
Great, super.
So you could find the engagement, the proposal from that the board entered into with the engineering team on the town's website. Take a look, and if you have any thoughts or ideas for for our team to consider, we're all ears.
Oh, good, I do, indeed. I will do that first thing tomorrow. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
In trouble, Dave.
Anyone else like to speak? Amanda, do we have anyone else via Zoom? Hearing none, public comment number 2 is now closed. Brenda, do we have any correspondence?
Got a letter. Hold on. We got a letter in from Christine O'Brien that I submitted to the board August 23rd.
Received and filed, thank you. Discussion on new business. Councilman Delnicki, you want to start?
I have a few.
Okay.
I think there's some copies of this on the table here, and a couple other pieces of news, but the Capital Region Electronic Recycling Event is coming. Sorry, Suzanne. The Capital Region Electronics Recycling event is coming to the town of Milton on Saturday, September 28th, from 9 to 3. So it's a most of the day affair, but there's a long list of items here they're willing to accept and recycle. We probably have plenty of those on our shelves in our drawers in our basements, but mostly electronics things, hard drives, LED screens, computers. So it's a floppy disks and CDs and tapes. They're going way back with the materials. But I encourage you to pick that up. I imagine this information is going to be posted on the website, but it's a good opportunity.
Eric, can I make one?
Please.
They will take TVs. They will cost you. Get a hold of us to get a hold of Jonathan. So if you have got TVs, let us know.
Is it a set price, Brian?
I think it's $25.
Okay.
They will take monitors, those big chunky monitors.
For a fee as well, or
The big chunky monitors, yeah.
big chunky monitor?
Yeah,
the tube
because
type?
all of those, they've got the tubes inside and it's expensive.
Gotcha. So apparently there'd be a fee there. There was one other line item, scientific and medical equipment, non-contaminated. I'm not sure what that means, but there's information there if you need to clarify telephone numbers and email addresses. And everything not electronic that's on that list, we're having another opportunity. The town of Milton, in partnership with Casella Waste and Twin Bridges, announces the town-wide refuse collection program for all residents of the town of Milton. Containers will be placed at the town of Milton complex at 503 Geyser Road, Ballston Spa, on Saturday, October 5th and Saturday, October 19th, also from 9 to 3. There's a few rules about how this stuff needs to be dropped off, sort of a single file line, and people accessing these containers one at a time, and a pretty healthy list of what they'll accept and what they won't. So the televisions and some of these electronics are on the won't accept list. So that's why we have this other date. And well, everything in the kitchen sink, they accept sinks, sofas, metal objects, etc. So I'm gonna put a stack of these, of this information, a little bit more complete information than I just read to you, on the table. And again, that should be on the website soon, if it's not already. And lastly, the town of Milton presents the trunk or treat on October 26th. I'm certain that's a Saturday. There's some setup times, but an event time from 12 to 2. So a great, safe, day-lit venue for young folks and their families to celebrate Halloween.
At the community center.
Thank you. And that information will also be posted on the website, and I'll put some copies of it out on the table for everybody if anybody wants to grab on the way out. Suzanne, expecting any more little kids? That's it.
Meg, do you have anything?
New old business, new to some people who haven't come to the farmer's market yet, but last one is this Thursday at the Burgess Kimball Park, 3 to 6. So please come out, support the farmer's market. We want to continue this next year, but obviously we need folks to come out and kind of participate. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Barb, anything?
No, nothing tonight.
John?
Thank you.
Oh, I got a few things. We had, from facilities, our phase 1 National Grid has completed their work, thank God. This will allow us to have the contractors do the final work in phase 1, and we'll probably within the next few weeks be closing that project out. So that's a positive thing. Phase 2, we're looking at, they've started digging footings, and there's going to be multiple concrete pours going on within the next probably 3 weeks. So that's where that project is headed. And to give everybody an idea, well, we did have a $2,000 change order for the fence at phase 1. We had a $7,500 credit for phase 2 because we used a different style window. So these things are all kind of washing themselves out here. In any contract of this magnitude, there are allowances set aside for unexpected things. So it's a certain percentage of what the contractors bid. So there are always, when you see these change orders, most of them are coming in and being spent out of that allowance. So it doesn't necessarily put the project over bid. Reimagine Milton, and to help answer Sharon's question, the rest of the ARPA funds are headed towards Reimagine Milton and kicking off that project. And what we are presently in the plans of are finalizing the site plan. And then we're going to look at probably this year starting getting in some roadways and utilities so we can actually get the blank slate out here, basically. So then we can start adding in the recreational part of it. To give everybody else an idea, I know we did see the new road dedication paperwork coming out. It's very extensive. I have myself haven't gotten quite through it yet. There's hundreds of pages, but it is not a conspiracy. Basically, we have had some issues with our road dedications on other projects, and we are trying to clean up things that have been here for probably 30 years in road specs and get it into where we can make it manageable for our people here in the town. So that's where that's going to be headed. Water districts, we're continuing to process and streamline the town's multiple water districts. Our activity is pursuant to negotiations with intermunicipality agreements. One other thing, I know, Michelle, you had foiled for a water report, and I do have a 121-page water report. I can show you where to get it, because I don't imagine you want us to print it off for you. Hmm? I don't think you have the same one as I found. Okay. Talk to me afterwards. I want to make sure I get you the right information. And I think that's it for me.
And I just want to make everybody clear on the ARPA funds. So we need to be in contract by the end of this year with how we're going to spend our funds. And it's going to be most likely through our engineering firm for the Reimagine Milton. And the funds have to be spent by 2026. So I just want to make everybody clear on that. Woods Hollow, we're just waiting for the governor to sign the bill so we can go ahead and close with the village on that. And that's all I have in reference to any new or old business. Is there any other discussion from the board? Hearing none, we will not be going into executive session this evening, so a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Any discussion? Councilman Dudley?
Yes.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Sarden?
Yes.
Councilman Froelich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a wonderful evening.